Welcome to Drinking Bros, presented by GhostBed.com.
Welcome to Drinkin' Bros, kids. We're at First Form headquarters today with Andy Frisella. You got a dope-ass spot here.
Thanks,
This
brother.
is really nice. How long did it take to build this? Well, I guess you guys are under construction now, right?
Well, we're redoing it, and then we're building two more buildings across the street. We built this building in a year.
Wow.
Yeah, from groundbreaking to moving in, exactly 1 year to
That's
the day.
better than Tesla. Although they may have some more complicated equipment than you guys do, but yeah,
It's pretty simple here.
getting permits to build in Austin is not the easiest thing in the world, even if you're a billionaire, apparently.
Well, apparently it's becoming Ostafornia, huh?
A little bit. I mean, people, it's still Texas, right? So
Yeah.
in the middle of 2020, when all that stupid bullshit was going on, the Antifa crowd there tried to set up their little autonomous zone, and they got ridden out of the city by cops on horseback. So it's still Texas, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think that was a good, like the Texas Rangers, actually Black Rifle just donated fucking $50,000 or something shit to them yesterday at that event we did. But yeah,
That's awesome.
It's they're on the come up. You're on the come up. Your business is growing. You guys have to get another 190,000 square foot worth of distribution going. So how's that all going?
It's good. Yeah, I mean, everything's good. It was really cool to see the Black Rifle guys doing all their stuff go public yesterday. I'm always cheering for real Americans.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's been great. And a lot from what I observed from them and you guys, we're very pro-America as well. And it's only helped our business.
Yeah, it should. I mean, it's the silent majority ideology
Yeah.
from Nixon back to the day. I mean, he was a piece of shit, but he was right about that. Most people just want to enjoy America and be left alone, and that seems intolerable for some folks for some reason. Like that impulse to get involved in somebody's life that doesn't want you involved in their life, I'll never understand that.
Me neither, bro.
I would rather sit at home all day. Like, what the fuck are you?
I don't give a shit what these people are doing.
No.
I care about the people who look at us or look at our company or this and that and help bringing those people forward. And I think we've gotten to a point in society where, people put way too much emphasis on what these motherfuckers think. It's ridiculous.
Well, I keep trying to tell my audience to stop referring to politicians as leaders because that's not what they are. They're employees.
Yeah.
And they're also cunts, right? I mean, we've got a big branding thing called All Politicians Are Cunts. And I've struggled to find somebody that doesn't fit into that, to be honest.
We've gotten away from the idea of America, which the idea of America is that it is for the people, by the people. And people have shifted, politics has shifted from a thing where, it used to be good men, good women served.
And then get the fuck out.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And now it's a situation where it's a career. It's not a career. It's not meant to be a career. It never was meant to be a career. And if we're going to save what's left of the freedoms that we have, we are going to have to revert to that.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people are up in arms, I guess, right now about voting rights one way or the other, or about election integrity. But and some of that stuff is certainly worth looking into. It's always worth looking into because you want to make sure that things are being done the proper way. But no one's ever voted themselves into freedom before.
No.
That's not how that fucking works.
Right.
We were talking about Braveheart before
the
show because your guy here hasn't seen
DJ.
it. Yeah, I wasn't going to fucking out him, but shit, whatever.
I have no problem outing him. I out him every day on the show.
But it's the truckers up in Canada right now are full on blue and white face paint. So and I think America is very afraid of that. When I say America, I mean American politicians. You see cities or states where I didn't think things would end so quickly, ending their shit. Like they're trying to
they're like, oh shit.
Nobody wants to be on the last helicopter out of Vietnam. You know what I mean? You don't want to be the last motherfucker sitting there and oppressing people that just want to be left the fuck alone.
Yeah.
We'll get into some more politics later. Let's go through your story. So late 90s, you start S2.
Yep.
And take me through that.
Yeah, man. I never had a desire to really do the normal life.
Right.
It's just never been in my DNA, even from when I was a little kid. I was selling baseball cards, snow cones, lemonade. When I struggled through school, I was a shitty student. pretty decent athlete. Learned a lot through athletics. Decided to start a company right out of high school. After my first semester of college, I went to college here at St. Louis University for one semester. I'm like, this is fucking ridiculous. I fucking left. Moved down to Springfield, Missouri, which is about 3 hours from here, with my best friend, who's still my day one business partner. His office is right there. We started Supplement Superstores, which is a little bitty, it was just a little bitty store. We started with $12,000 that we got from painting the stripes on parking lots. We built our own shelves. We slept in the back of that first store on and off for the first 2 years. First day we sold $7. Second day we sold $0. Third day we sold $23.
Right.
It was very humble. And it took us 5 years to get our second store on the radar, and we went from there. But our first 10 years in business, man, it wasn't like today where you could come up with something and then, get somebody who's good at marketing and put it out all over the internet. The internet wasn't a mature thing. So like a lot of people hear 10 years, and I'm like, yeah, bro, but think about growing your business without the social media.
Yeah.
So that's
now it'd be impossible.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, right.
I mean, you can't compete with somebody that can flip a switch on like that. Like you guys have worked with one of the better brand influencer managers in the country. A guy, I mean, I don't know if you want to say his name on air or anything like that, but I know who the guy is.
Yeah.
He's fucking amazing at this.
Yeah.
He's in my opinion, about Black Rifle and stuff, and about all the other stuff we've done. He's one of the best I've ever seen at doing this shit. At
You talking about Dan?
yes.
Oh, yeah. He's my best friend.
At growing stuff. I don't even know the guy. I just know all of his work.
Fleischman. Yeah.
So he's one of the best I've ever seen at understanding which people are going to be able to speak to other people about something, right?
Yeah.
And it sounds legitimate to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not tricks or gimmicks. It's about putting the right message in front of the right person.
That's right.
Coming out of the right mouth.
That's right.
That's really all it is.
And also engaging real people, man.
Yeah.
I
mean, your guys, Derek and Marissa, all these motherfuckers.
Now, those guys those are people we discovered. We didn't start working with Dan until 2018.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying is like just having people like that, though, is the first step.
Oh, yeah,
having good
bro.
people representing you in public is a big thing.
For sure, dude. And that's, we were one of the first companies to really come out and utilize influencer marketing back in 2013.
Yeah.
And, we've evolved and we've grown and we've moved and developed systems, and we've fucked everything up and rebuilt it over and over. And, I'm sure we'll continue to fuck up things and fix them.
Right. Well, that's resilience, though. That's how it's built, is through failing and learning. That's the problem with startups. A lot of the time, ones that are overfunded at the beginning, they spend their way out of lessons they should be learning.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? It just doesn't work like that.
Bro, I'm a big believer in, I just did a call with the guys, Tim Kennedy's group, who's doing the schools.
Save Our Island. Oh, the
Apogee.
What the fuck? Apogee, yeah.
Apogee?
Yeah. Yep.
Bro. And I was telling these guys, they're all young men from 13 to 18. And lack of resources is the best advantage you'll ever have.
Yeah, of course it is.
But people don't want that. They want to have the investment, or they want to have the big check, or they want to have the parents. And for a long time, dude, I was bitter about that as well. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't have any of that. But here's what I've realized is that all the skills that have made me who I am and made our team who we are came from those struggles of not having, anybody to fall back on.
Right. I mean, we all know the examples of like it's a trust fund kid. Yeah. Like do you want your business to have that attitude where it has no resilience, where it can't deal with any of its own problems? The lessons learned are the most important thing to come out of business, right? Like not just for you, but from all. I don't know how many people who have started here or gotten their start in business, at least here, who have gone on to start other businesses.
Lots.
You know what I mean? There's been quite a few.
Yeah,
there's been quite a few here. Yeah, and
that's actually one of the things I'm most proud of.
Yeah.
I think a lot of CEOs handle that growth the wrong way. They get mad when people grow up and start their own things. And like, dude, honestly, I look at it the exact opposite way. In fact, some of my best friends are guys who used to work here who have now gone on and done their own thing. Right. So it's really something that I take a lot of pride in.
Yeah, it's like a coaching tree, right? Like, is it Dick Vermeil? I think he just got put in the Hall of Fame too, by the way.
He should be.
But is it Dick Vermeil that has this massive coaching tree? I think Mike Holmgren's got a big one too.
Nick Saban has one.
Saban's got one. Yeah. I mean, shit, he just got beat by one.
Yeah, but did you see after the game, bro? He was fucking happy.
Yeah, of course he is.
He like, dude, Nick Saban, after every loss or every win they've had, he's been this crabby motherfucker. He's I'm ready to get to work the next day.
Yeah.
He got beat by his protege, and dude, he was happy. Like,
yeah.
That was cool, man.
I mean, that's got to be a good
moment.
moment for him. And let's see, Schottenheimer's another one. Tony Dungy, Bill Cowher, Bonnie Kiffin.
Yeah.
Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, all the people that came out of there. But yeah, that's what you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you want to plant seeds and have them grow. Like
sure.
you got Tim Grover's book down in your library down there.
It's the best book I ever read.
Yeah, we've had him on the show a couple of times. That dude is so good at his job that Michael Jordan bought him.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah.
It's like, you belong to me until I'm done. And then he gave him to Kobe afterwards. But that was a big deal because Jordan is the most competitive human being maybe that's ever existed. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he pretty much, I don't know what you would call it, bequeathed Tim Grover to Kobe Bryant, like he saw that in him. That's leadership. That's what that is,
yes,
right?
It is.
I mean, if you've got something good and your first instinct is to hoard it and hide it and keep it all for yourself, you're a fucking asshole.
Not only that, it's going to slip through your fingers. Bro.
Oh, yeah.
It's like sand. Like if you hold sand in the palm of your hand, it'll stay there. But when you squeeze tight, it goes away, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So S2 is starting. You guys are struggling at first and starts to grow. What do you think the big impetus was for your early growth? Like taking it from something that you're doing, but it's not really bringing you the lifestyle you want.
I can
not
tell
going
you the
fast.
exact moment.
Okay.
Yeah. So we went through this period of time about 10 years in where we weren't making any money.
10 years in is like 2008, 9, something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 2009.
Okay.
We had just started with First Form. And we still weren't making any money. In fact, a lot of our employees were making more money than us.
Right, yeah. That's fucking, that's how it goes in the beginning, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Shit.
But when you're going through it for the first time, you don't really understand that, you know? And so, Chris and I started looking at the possibility of closing the business and moving on to other things.
Like a barbershop?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that story.
Yeah,
That's really funny.
Or what I was actually looking at was a carpet cleaning operation.
People don't that like disaster recovery stuff where they come in and cut the wall out this high and then dry everything. They make so much goddamn money.
For sure, bro. But here's what happened. I went to train and I threw my back out, and I was laid up for about 30 days. And so Chris and I at the time were having a whole bunch of conversations about the business and how we were going to exit out of it. And I went on that training for a couple days to start cleaning carpets, and I fucking hated it, dude. And I could make way more money doing it, but I hated it.
Yeah.
And so Chris and I had this conversation, and it was it went very much so like this, like, hey, bro, this fucking sucks. I don't care how much money I'm getting paid. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, dude, I don't really know what I'm going to do either. And I said, well, there are good things about our business, even though we're not making money. And we started talking about those.
Right.
And the best thing that we both agreed about what we do as a company was we would have these people come in who were extremely unhealthy, extremely overweight. And I'm talking about into our retail stores at the time, right? And, you don't always work the counter, right? You work in shifts. So you don't see everybody every single time they come in. So every once in a while, over the first 10 years, we would get these people who would come in and they would actually listen.
Right.
And they would go home and they would make massive changes in their lives. And they would come in and they would have tears in their eyes and they'd give you a hug and they're like, holy fuck, dude, you saved my life.
Yeah.
And, of course, we don't really grasp that at the moment, right?
Because it's not something that you lacked.
Right.
So it doesn't mean anything to you. Like if you're full and there's a plate of food on the table, that's not a big deal to you.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right. And so, we started talking at this time about those people. And we both agreed. Like we came up with this agreement. We said, hey, man, maybe we won't ever be the wealthy, successful, rich guys, but maybe we have a chance to actually change some people's lives.
Yeah, like Average Joe's kind of
right,
style,
exactly.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of like, let's just focus on that and not focus on the money aspect. And let's just have our lives be that. And we both kind of like, it almost, I want to say like not gave up on the idea of getting rich, but it just became like an afterthought.
Yeah.
And our focus became on our customers. And when that happened and that pivot was made, our business exploded.
Well, that's the solution. So
For sure.
Black Rifle grew very fast, regardless of what we were doing, just because there was such a deep need in the community for that, for a major company that provided a commodity that weren't fucking pussies, really.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what it was. But it was once Evan in late 2016, early 2017 really started to redirect our focus on the coffee club and build out a club for coffee, because everybody's buying it on a regular basis anyways. So how can we structure this thing where it is made for the user? So what we did was just build it the way we would want it if it was something that we were doing. And I think that's where the best inventions come from.
sure.
I think that's what Elon Musk does.
Yeah.
He could do anything he wants. He could build. He could be in any industry he wants. He's already been in finance. He's been in tech. Now he's in fucking all this other stupid shit. But he's like, this is cool. This is something that people probably need. I'm just gonna make it.
Right.
And doesn't give a fuck. I think if you focus on the customer will inform you what the product should be. Right.
Yeah.
So at S2, you guys, were you making supplements, or were you just
No.
white labeling?
No, we were selling other people's products.
Okay.
So this is a unique piece to our business that a lot of people don't realize is we're one of the biggest sellers and customers of other companies.
Right.
Because we have our own retail outlets.
Yeah.
So we built great relationships with, it's not like a lot of companies where everybody hates each other. Like I'm friends with all these dudes that own these other companies. And it's really been cool. It's been a cool journey, but we were just selling third-party products. And by selling those third-party products, we had a lot of time to sit and talk about, to have this conversation. Hey, man, if that were me and you, this is how we would do it, right? Yeah. And so we had those conversations for years and years and years, and then opportunity presented itself to consult on a big project for a big box retailer making their own supplements.
Right. Were they actually making it, or were they just white labeling and branding?
No, they were. They were trying to make their own. And they hired me to come in and test the product because I had a knowledge based on my retail experience, what was good, what wasn't. And the product never ended up happening. And for the manufacturer that was doing it, they were kind of out a whole bunch of money because they invested a lot of money into this project. And I said, hey, look, I'll fucking do this.
Yeah.
And that was kind of how First Form got started. And so we had a guy who was able to believe in the vision of what we were doing, and he was willing to work with us. And that's how we got started making this is what the biggest thing that differentiated us from the beginning is that at those small quantities, you can't custom blend products.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to buy off someone else's blend
Yep.
or someone else's line run. And we were able to do full custom formulas from day one at small quantities because we had this guy. And that was a huge advantage, but it just came out of being resourceful and seeing an opportunity and taking it when it
Right. I mean, what's luck is when skill meets opportunity, right? I mean,
That's right.
That's not Grover. Who is that? That's somebody else from Jordan's world. Shut up, who it is.
I don't know, but
Anyways,
it's true.
yeah, it is definitely true. So that's, I mean, you gotta be ready to jump. I mean, all the great stories happen when people. The great stories in business happen when people are like, you know what, fuck it.
Yeah.
I don't care about the consequences. I'm just gonna do this.
Well, dude, I think it also comes from lack of options, right? Like
necessity is the mother of
that's
invention,
right, bro.
Yeah,
like people have options and they're like, oh yeah, well, this would be cool to do, but I'm pretty comfortable here. Fuck, Chris and I didn't have any options.
Yeah.
Like we're broke as fuck. So it's like, all right, either let's go and do this or let's not. And even as I've gotten older, dude, where I don't necessarily need more risk.
Yeah.
Right. I've become more risk averse now just because of my comfort level.
Right.
So I have to remind myself like how aggressive I was in the beginning when it comes to business now,
It's why Conor McGregor can't win fights anymore.
That's right.
Because there's nothing on the line.
He's not in that zone yet.
Yeah. It's a good point. I mean, you get into that point where that's why Cortez burned the ships.
Yeah,
when he got to South America, right?
That's
He's like,
it,
hey,
dude.
there's no going back, guys. We're
That's
here to
it.
stay. Not that I agreed with everything he did after that, but
No, I feel you. Yeah, but it's a good concept to create a situation. I call it all the time on my show, zero option mentality.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So when you're in the beginning of your journey, it's easy to have a zero option mentality because you legitimately have zero options.
Right.
You have to win or you're going to fucking starve.
Yeah.
But as you get older, creating and cultivating that mentality, and I mean older, more successful in business, becomes something that you have to be conscious of.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Like
for
I
sure.
have to train myself to have that now.
Well, now but it's a balancing act of sorts because now you're not just risking yourself and Chris's livelihood. There's
That's right.
1,300 or so people that
Right.
work for this company.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that with that, there's a lot of extra responsibility going on there, and that's where the resilience comes from,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it's Brett Weinstein and Heather Haying, his wife. They're biologists, basically evolutionary biologists. They talk a lot about resilience. They wrote a book called The Hunter-Gatherer's Guide for the 21st Century. If you haven't read it, it's a really good one.
Okay, I'll check it out.
They talk about, people ask them a lot because they have children, and they've talked about raising their children in a way that is consistent with evolution and things like that. And they talk about, how do you expose your kids to risk? And so this anti-safetyism stuff, like how do you actually accomplish that with a child without actually putting them at risk? So like, well, it turns out the research shows that the more supportive a parent is, the more they are in somebody's life on a daily basis, the more lower level risk the child will take at an early age because they feel comfortable doing that. They know they've got a safety net. And by the time they're adults, they're taking and managing risk way better than their counterparts. Like millennials and zennials these days, they have no tolerance for any kind of discomfort whatsoever.
Yeah,
but there's
I've noticed.
nothing good that
Yeah.
comes from comfort. Like comfort is the end of the journey.
It's
not the
comfort-
journey.
Comfort is a fucking complete cancer to your progress, dude.
Yeah.
100%. Like, if you're not consistent, and it could creep on you, dude. It could creep up on
It's
you.
a steady creep.
That's right.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you get like, well, I don't have to do that now.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Exactly.
You do.
And that's where the discipline comes
Yeah.
in, right? Like, okay, and see how I corner that in my own mind is what you said a minute ago. It's the responsibility I have to my people.
Right.
It's not about me anymore.
Yeah.
It's about them.
But
And
that's
honestly, I work
that's what
way harder
leadership
now.
is, right? Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's just what it is. Like you, not only are you trying to make this bigger and more robust and resilient for all of that, but that's what feeds that attitude you have. Where if somebody's independently successful outside of you, that's not a threat.
No.
That's a
No, it's
bonus.
great.
That's work product. That's proof that what we're doing here is right.
It matters.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it
for
matters,
sure,
and
bro.
the people are getting something out of it.
For sure.
So what's you guys are still expanding, getting pretty big.
Yeah.
Any thoughts about going public at any point? You can talk about it legally right now until wheels are actually in motion.
Yeah.
we've had to be careful about that recently.
You know, I have a lot of things I'd like to do before we would ever get to that point.
Yeah.
In terms of setting up the framework of the business.
Right.
You know, like
Safeguards against bullshit that might come after.
and also innovative ideas that I have that haven't been deployed yet. You
Right.
know, not anytime in the near future. I've still got a few concepts that I'm waiting to unleash on the world that I would like to get at least out functional before we would ever make a move like that.
Anything you want to share now?
No. Yeah. No.
Is it you and man, all you? I don't know how to say the word arte. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
We had Bedros on about 6 months ago. That dude's a character.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a big fan of his.
Bedros is awesome.
Yeah, him and
He's the real deal too, bro.
yeah, he's an American success story. if there is one,
100%.
yeah.
He comes from a communist country.
Yeah.
He's starved. He fucking got his food from a dumpster. And this motherfucker has now, he is the American dream.
Yeah, he literally
Yeah.
is. A lot of our buddies, Ray Cashcare.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a fucking idiot, but he won't.
I love Ray.
He makes fun of me for not. He's like, "Oh, I was in my hotel room. I still made my
Are
bed."
you in that group chat for his push-ups?
No.
So I had to unsubscribe from
I
him.
had. Yeah, I'm out.
Because, dude, every time, and Ray,
That and
you're-
going live and shit all the time and
Yeah,
sending
yeah.
me voice messages. I'm like, dude, you got to stop.
Bro, I had to unsubscribe from the group chat because, dude, every time he puts in there, it's like, all right, 22 push-ups, and I'm cool. I just got my shoulder redone, so I can't get in on it yet.
Yeah.
But I will. Cool. But he's like, hey, don't reply if you can't do it. And every motherfucker in there, every fucking time, you guys, is like, oh, I can't do it because I'm working on my NFT. No, I don't give a fuck. You either can do it, that's what he said, or don't reply.
Yeah.
So I had to unsubscribe.
Yeah, it's a lot. That's a lot of traffic. Man, I can't keep up with him. And
Bro.
but he's doing 1,200 push-ups a day.
He's amazing.
He's a stud. His birthday's the 5th
Yeah.
of May, I think.
I don't know.
Yeah,
We're
I
not
think
that close.
He's 50.
Yeah.
He's
No, he's
old as
not.
shit. Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he'll be 50, I think.
Fuck.
Yeah, he's old as shit.
Shit, dude. I hope I look that good at 50. Fuck.
When's the last time you saw him up close? I'm just kidding. No, he's a stud though. I like and Bedros has a good little group of guys
Yeah.
fucking around with him. Tell me about this. What is it?
Arte.
Arte Syndicate.
So basically, I started this group with Ed Milet.
Yeah.
So Ed Milet, for those of you guys that don't know, is one of the biggest names in personal development speaking, has been for 20 years. We got introduced through a mutual friend to do a podcast back in 2017. And we sat down and we automatically clicked, bro. And it was more like this. Like, him and I have always been super direct and honest with each other. And I can remember him sitting across the table from me at our old HQ and being like, do you really like the entrepreneurs, like influencer space? I'm like, no, I fucking hate it. And he's like, I hate it too. And so we got to talking with the problems, right? And the problems is that we have a whole bunch of motherfuckers that never did shit in their whole entire life trying to teach everybody all these skills that they don't even possess themselves. And so we're
it's like a professor in an MBA.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
Why aren't you starting your own business?
Dude, and there was a lot of that, and there's still a lot of that.
For sure. That's most of what it is. To be honest. Yeah.
And true. And there's some good guys. And but dude, I prefer working and being around real salt of the earth people who are doing real things, whether that be running an insurance shop or whatever they're doing. And so Ed and I had this idea. We're like, let's start this fucking group because he's built real companies as well.
Oh yeah, quite a few.
And let's teach these people real skills, not like just rah go out and you could do anything.
Yeah, quit your job today and go shut the fuck up, dude.
Exactly.
I didn't get a trust fund, so I can't.
Exactly, bro.
Get the fuck out of here.
And I know who says that.
Oh yeah, we're not.
Yeah, that's my friend. He's my friend, but fuck, dude, he says that and he's wrong.
Yeah.
Like, dude, sometimes we got to deal with the whole. The whole message there is always, if you don't love what you do, then don't fucking do it. Motherfucker, you know how much shit I had to do that I fucking hated to be here? All of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so sometimes we're going to have to do a bunch of shit that we don't like to get to a point where.
Well, that's most of the time, right?
That's right.
Yeah. And there's a point where that's not the case anymore, and you can just start.
I love what I do now.
Building.
Yeah.
But there's a good portion
dude,
of that.
I spent 15 years hating it.
Yeah. That's the way it goes. So, what do you guys? Who do you talk to? Who's your? Who's your customer? If it's a bit, and it is a business, but who's your customer?
Look, man, for me, like I kind of see myself as a brand, and then I see our brands as brands.
Right.
And for First Form, look, dude, my idea with First Form has always been consistent, which has been real people, real results, real stories. You got to do the work. There's no magic in this at all.
Yeah, your guys' influencers aren't like people like professional athletes and WWE people. They're
real
they're
people.
Cops.
Yes.
And tattoo artists and people that just like doing this shit.
Because that's real shit.
Yeah.
So do we utilize big name influencers to get the word out? Of course.
Yeah.
But our main core is real people with real jobs who can't work out all day. And our focus here is to provide them with the tools, not just the products, but the information, the education, the things that really you have to actually make changes. So most of our customers are just regular people, bro, who are sick of biting the all the results with no work fruit.
Right.
And then finally understood like there is no quick fix to your problems. And so it's really cool because at first, like, think about this. We're going against all these companies who are promising all this quick shit, right?
Yeah.
And we never went with that message. We never led with it. And now I think we've changed the culture to where most people in fitness understand there's a level of hard work that just has to be fucking executed upon to get where you want to go.
Correct.
And we try to provide as many tools as we can to make that possible for them.
Yeah, I think but isn't that so maybe
it's basic.
Maybe we're just different kind of people, but that's like fucking common sense.
No shit, bro.
And not only is it common sense,
but how much common sense have you seen for the last 2 years?
Not much. Well,
exactly.
It's been longer than 2 years, but
yeah, that's true.
From the point of view of somebody, even if you're just an influencer repping other brands, the process is what you're selling.
Yeah.
Like you may think you're selling the result, but you're not. The result is that's the lazy Sunday where you're watching the game. The technology of the TV, that's what you're actually selling. Right. That's what people don't buy it because of the way it looks on the screen. They buy it because, it's 8K, it's this, it's this, right? And that process is what people purchase. And when you see not even just the good stuff, like all you guys seem to tear your fucking biceps. It was Mike 3 years ago, Derek, and now what the fuck is wrong with you guys?
Look, we get older and we think we're fucking 20. The same problem every old dude has.
Yeah, no shit.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, Mike and Derek are still in their early 30s, aren't they?
No,
I guess
fuck
mid
no.
30s.
They're almost 40, bro.
No, Derek's not almost 40. He's
Derek
34,
is too,
right?
almost 40. He's 38.
No, he's not 38.
I think he is.
No, he's 36, maybe.
Okay, maybe
he and I were in the 82nd
That's
year.
still in early 30s.
I think he's got to be at least 4 years.
Mike is
younger
close.
than me.
Mike's
getting close.
Mike's
yeah.
like 38.
I think he's like 38. Yeah. But yeah, it's that's another thing. People that show up to like GNC or S2 or something like that back in the day, especially when the internet first started, 2009 to 12, that time period. Yeah. They're like, oh shit, that person looks great, and they use that product. I'm gonna go do that.
Yes.
But they walk into your store to buy supplements, and they have no idea. And it's not that they are deluded; it's that they generally don't know. And I think that stops a lot of people from getting in on the journey in the first place.
100,000%.
Because they just don't. It's like paralysis by analysis.
Yeah, and
There's too
also
many
it's
options.
never been a friendly culture in fitness, dude.
Yeah.
Like my mom spent most of her life. My mom's lost 100 and something pounds the last 2 years, which is amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm so proud of her. But she spent most of her life afraid to even do that because of the culture in fitness.
Yeah, and there's ways to do it without having a fucking lunk alarm, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that
dude.
shit. So like you're.
Bro, that's divisive.
Yeah, it's stupid.
It's no different than the shit they do on the news, bro.
Yeah,
You know, like most people, here's the reality. Most people in fitness want to help people. And there's 5% of people that suck.
Yeah.
You
Well, there's
know?
always 5% of people that suck. Yeah.
It's just a reflection of how society works.
Yeah. I found the same thing. I don't know how many people have met lifelong friends in gyms. Like it's kind of a weird thing, isn't it? It's like I don't know other places outside of work or some kind of extracurricular activity where I've just like you don't meet somebody at the bar and then you're friends for the rest of your life.
Why is that?
Because you're both there to fucking put work in, I guess.
That's right, dude. You're there to suffer together. It's the same thing as you guys in the military.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. The people who struggle together forge a bond through that struggle. And it's a huge deal. All my best friends I've met through that or through cars.
Well, it's because you can fucking from our perspective, from the military perspective, it's the reason that a selection process exists because I know that somebody that went through that isn't going to fold when the shit gets
That's
rough.
right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
And maybe that happens to a lesser degree in the gym. Like, at least this person is trying to fucking make themselves better.
Yeah.
That's a good first step. That's better than a flashy business card. You know
I
what mean?
agree.
So 75 hard. Yeah. Tell me about that. Like, where'd that come from?
Yeah, so, growing up, dude, I never had anything what I would consider special skills or qualities. I was just a fat little dude trying to figure shit out. And I spent a lot of time growing up looking at people and observing people who had qualities that I didn't have.
Right.
And one of those qualities was discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a hard time doing things that I didn't have the stick-to-itiveness to do anything.
Right.
And
what do you think that was? Boredom?
no, I just think I was never taught discipline. And I was disciplined, but I was never taught what discipline really was.
Right, I see.
I was led to believe, and not through any fault of my parents, because I believe most of society views it like this, that discipline is a trait or
no, it's a skill.
Yeah, no, it's a
Yeah,
skill.
for
That's
sure.
right.
Yeah,
It's
100%.
perishable
Yeah.
too.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
It's every time you say yes when you should say no, it gets easier.
that's right.
And every time you say no when you should say no, it also gets easier.
That's right.
It's
bro.
a muscle, right?
That's it. Dude, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a muscle. And so I spent my whole life trying to figure out what the fuck was wrong with me, why I didn't have these things.
Right.
And I started over the course of 20 years in business, I started figuring things out.
Right.
I started meeting people who had things. I started picking it up. I became a student of this problem.
Right.
And
Well, the people that are super successful in business all have it's not always the same, but they have a lot of very similar traits.
Yes.
Discipline's one of them. The amount of time they spend working, there's a return on that. Working 50 hours a week instead of 40, you get 80% more production out of 20% more work.
bro,
why would you not do that?
Most people fucking do this. Most people go to work on Monday hungover because they day drink Sunday. Then they get Tuesday, Wednesday where they're sober. Thursday night they go to happy hour. Friday night they go out with their friends. Saturday night day drink. Sunday night day drink. Bro, you're not competitive with that.
No.
You can't be. So. Basically I started putting together all these little systems. I'm a very system-oriented person. I like systems.
Yeah.
And what 75 hard is basically the culmination of all the best systems that I figured out that I operate at the highest level. And, if I look at my life, I'm achieving at a high level.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
And so I wanted to put the program together. I put it together for people. I gave it away for free so that they would understand what it took to develop skills and invest in skills such as discipline, grit, fortitude, perseverance, self-esteem, confidence. These are all things that I wanted to bring attention to and show people how to develop for themselves.
Right, for sure. Yeah, it's a good concept, and it's a good baseline too. How do you manage the creativity part? Because that's a big thing, both in personal growth, fitness, or intellectual growth, or whatever. Right, just your social stuff. Like, if I were to come upon 75 hard and decide, I would modify quite a bit about it for myself, right? Because you said you wrote it for yourself. I assume most of your top performers probably do something a little bit different in there when they're doing it, right?
Well, there's a lot.
Maybe not the first time, but the third or fourth time that they do it.
I don't know. If they want to do things on top of those 5 things, that's fine.
Yeah.
But those 5 things are the baseline.
Well, tell me what the 5 things are then.
Okay, so there is no alcohol.
Right.
All right. There is, you have to train twice a day. One of them has to be outdoors. They have to be separated by 2 to 3 hours. So it cannot be just one long workout.
And what is it about the outdoors thing that you think benefit? I mean, aside from fucking vitamin D, which we all lack severely right now.
The main lesson, I have a whole book on this that goes deep into it. I'll give you one before we go.
Sure, yeah.
But the main lesson of the outdoor workouts is that conditions are never going to be perfect.
Right.
You're going to have to fight through hard shit. Some days it's going to be 100, depending on the time of year, where you live. Some days it's going to be raining. Some days it's going to be snow. DJ and I just did a 75 hard workout a week ago in a foot of snow. It fucking sucked. It took an hour and a half, not 45 minutes. Right. But to operate.
So that's a mental resilience thing, just
absolutely.
to like getting in an ice bath or whatever.
Bro. Most people are not going outside to do cardio when it's fucking raining.
Right. Well, I actually prefer that.
I do too, because I know no one's doing it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to show people how it's amazing how when they start these outdoor workouts too, they start to realize like how badass they really are. Because they start to, because dude, look, when you're doing a workout in a foot of snow and it's fucking 18 degrees outside and you look around, guess what? There ain't nobody else out there.
No.
So it shows you very quickly who's willing to do something and who's not. And so what it's teaching people is how to believe in themselves and their ability to adapt to circumstances that are not ideal, which the main reason, like we talked about off the mic in the beginning when we first came in, the main reason most people don't succeed is because they won't jump.
Right.
They won't go.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. The whole program's a year long. So it's 75 days. It's called Live Hard.
Right.
I have a new book coming out this year. It's 75 days, and then there's 3 30-day phases after that, with the goal being, and all 30 days require different tasks, okay? With the goal being for you to use it yearly to tune your mind.
Right.
So that's what the program
So the 75 is physical, maybe mental resilience, and then 30 days is what, like personal growth, business stuff, or what?
No. So like 75 hard, so there's 5 tasks, right?
Right.
We got off track there.
It happens.
Yeah,
it happens a lot here, actually.
Yeah, okay. What is it? Read 10 pages, drink a gallon of water, no alcohol. What am I missing? No cheat meals. Okay. Yep. Got to stick to a diet. So those are the five core fundamentals of 75 hard. And then like phase 1 will be those 5 core plus some other ones.
I see.
Okay. And then now you can do those consecutively. You can go from day 75 to finish your 30 days on phase 1 right in a row.
Okay.
Then you have to take a mandatory 30-day break. Now that break is usually longer for people, but it has to be at least 30 days. And then you come back with phase 2, and phase 2 is the 5 core principles of 75 hard again for only 30 days. And the reason that we make that break is because people get in that rhythm. And it's not about creating the rhythm. It's about being able to turn the rhythm on and off at will. Okay. So what we're going to teach people is how to turn the momentum back on after being out of the routine.
That's interesting because that's how memory recall works as well. So when you're learning a new thing, whatever it happens to be, word, skill, whatever, especially if it's a physiological thing, right? What's happening is neural channels are firing, and they fire to such a high degree that folds are getting made and deeper in your brain, right? But there's a process in physiological education called recall, right? Simple phrase, but what it really means is that you study something for 30 minutes and then you need a 30-minute break.
That's right.
Otherwise, your brain will just dump all of that stuff. It gets loaded into your prefrontal cortex and never makes it back to your hippocampus.
It's why when people, do you play any instruments?
I play the guitar, yeah.
Okay, so it's like, when you're trying to learn something new on the guitar,
right?
You're practice,
Yeah.
you suck.
Yeah.
You put the guitar down, you come back the next day,
Right, yeah.
and fucking bang, you got it.
Yeah, it's why you
Yeah.
you don't play pool for a while and you pick the stick up and your
it.
first round is great and then you suck afterwards. Right?
Yeah, because you also remember your bad habits.
Yeah, you start thinking about shit again. Yeah, I mean, if you can get your prefrontal cortex out of the way on a regular basis, I think that's a good thing. That's why everybody's into fucking DMT and mushrooms now.
Yeah.
Just trying to shut that shit off.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are profiteering off of it with some stupid stuff, or some people are just trying to have fun, which good for them because I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
To be honest, but there's a lot of growth you can get out of that stuff too. It's the same principle, really. So instead of 75 hard, I'm just gonna smoke DMT 75 straight days. Lie down on the grass and see what happens. So you got a podcast.
Yeah.
It's been on for a while, about as long as ours, actually.
Yeah,
I think we started about the same
15?
time. Yes, 15, September 15, I think it was ours.
I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
We,
I still don't.
the Drinkin Bros podcast started in fucking a garage in El Paso with a bunch of drunk military
Yeah, bro,
people.
wasn't it Rocco and
Rocco,
Yeah.
Jared, Matt. That was it at
Yeah.
first, yeah. Then Evan came in later, and then I came in after that. It was stupidity.
Yeah.
And Ross, obviously, he was on
Yeah.
the first one. But for the core members, it was Ross, Rocco, Jared, Matt. Ross was still in, I think he was still in California then. He may have been in Wilmington by then. But yeah, we met Ross because he was, we're making Range 15, that retarded ass movie that everybody loves. And
you guys did that at Sundance, didn't you?
it was in some festivals, yeah, which is stupid. It was the highest grossing independent film of 2016,
That's badass.
which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But, Ross was a very accomplished scriptwriter in Hollywood, and Jared wrote this script, and he was like a huge fan of Ross's and reached out to him about something entirely different. Like he made these crazy ass movies like FDR American Badass, where FDR's got a fucking machine guns mounted on his wheelchair and he's fucking up zombies and shit, or just retarded. It's the dumbest shit of all
DJ,
time.
write that one down. We're gonna watch that.
Oh, it's
right after Braveheart.
That one, and then he and his wife made one called God, what the fuck is it? Helen Keller versus Night Wolves, where his wife plays blind Helen Keller, but she's a fucking ninja or some shit, and she's just murdering werewolves. It's really fucking funny. But yeah, he had a lot of experience making these spoof type movies, so he came in, took this. Jared's a good writer, so the script was okay, but for putting it on film, not so much.
Yeah.
Like the opening scene was 15 minutes long. You can't do that in a movie. It's got to be like 90 seconds.
Yeah.
So Ross came in, tuned it all up, and then he and Jared were like, man, we should fucking start. Podcasts are getting big. We should probably do this. Nobody knows what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
But Matt and Jared had already been making all this stupid videos for YouTube and shit. So it all worked out really well. Rocco was great.
Yeah.
He's too fucking important and busy for anybody
He's a
now.
big deal now.
Yeah.
I love Rocco though.
He's a good dude, yeah.
I love him, man.
Show.
Him and I have stayed friends. We talk on a semi-regular basis. Just always appreciated his positivity towards myself and what we've done.
Yeah, he's doing really well too. I mean, he's got 30 fucking kids. I don't know how he keeps up with any of that shit. Actually, the way he did it is now he's got a 19-year-old that babysits all the rest of them. That's how it's like. He's not doing any real work anymore. He's out working his job, but the kids are
He's
taking care of
delegating.
each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you could call that delegation. But mine's is doing well. But yeah, we had no idea what we were doing back then either.
Yeah. Ours was an accident, bro.
What do you mean?
So I had this dude who wanted to write a book about my life. Vaughn Kohler, great. He was the co-host of the podcast, but he was going to do a book. And he did an article on me on magazine, a local magazine for entrepreneurship. And I told him my whole story, and he's like, bro, this has to be a book.
Right.
And he's such a awesome dude in every single way. And he started interviewing me, and we were recording the interviews. And, every once in a while I would get on these like rants.
Right.
And the other guy who was helping produce the show, Tyler, would cut him into 15-second clips. And this is back when IG only had 15 seconds.
Yeah.
And so I'd post them on IG, and it was like by far my most engaging shit, right? And everybody's like, where's this podcast? Where's this podcast? And I'd always write back, I'm like, motherfucker, this is a book. This ain't no podcast. Podcast for nerds, And then after a year of that, I decided that it was probably a good idea to start a podcast.
Yeah, no shit. And now fucking, I mean, it's funny. Maybe 2 or 3 years ago, people would be like, we would be at big events, sponsoring big events, taking part in big events, spending money at big events. And people were like, what do you guys do? Like, we have a podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. You got a podcast.
Yeah. You were definitely treated like this stepchildren in the early days of podcasting.
Now Rogan makes like $120 million a year to podcast.
Yeah. And dude, the brand, the ability, now there's a million podcasts that suck.
Oh, yeah.
And so the good ones, the people who have been in cultivating that talent and that skill are doing really well.
It's not easy to have. Well, the people that struggle are people that think they can do it by themselves. Like having an hour-long conversation with yourself is not something.
It's not interesting.
No, it's like you want to hear in my opinion, the only diversity that matters is diversity of thought, right? Because that's how we become collectively stronger.
I agree.
All this shit now we can talk about politics a little bit because it seems like everybody's lost their fucking minds.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand. Well, I guess I do understand the goal of postmodernism and fucking neo-Marxism is the goal that they have. Which is
they're winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't understand how so many people have been duped by it because it's so plain.
Well, I think we have been. It's been very clear how it's happened. I mean, bro, when you and we're about the same age. I think I'm a year older than you. Were you 41?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Last week. Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm 42.
Yep.
So here we go, dude. Let's dive in. It started back in the day when they stopped giving trophies for first place and started giving them for fucking participation.
Yeah.
That's where it started, and then it progressed into let's remove the flag from the classroom, remove the national anthem. It's offending my kids. They're not well. You know what? If it offends your fucking kids, you should move out of this motherfucking country.
Yeah, you got options.
Yeah,
it's a free country, and you're free to leave if you'd like.
That's it. That's the truth. And so, in my opinion, and I've spent the last 2 years. This is something that should probably note. When my podcast started, it was only entrepreneurship.
Right.
Then I switched and reformatted it in 2019 because I saw some of the fuckery that was starting to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, listen, I'm not going to be able to sit by on my entrepreneur show and not say anything.
Well, I mean, that's the easy solution is to not like all these.
I see it.
All these companies that don't get involved in the culture wars that are happening right now, like you're gonna just go away.
They're gonna get destroyed because they're riding the fence, and you can't ride the fence. It's time to pick a side.
At some point, somebody's gonna come after you too.
Yeah,
right. That's
you're either pro America or you're not, and that's it. But yeah, dude. We've gotten soft, and we've allowed the. In my opinion, this is a communist insurgency that's been happening over 20 years to demoralize the country. It's not the first time it's happened. It happened in 1930s Germany.
Yeah.
The same thing happened. When I say demoralizing, I mean demoralizing both in the literal sense and the sense of no motivation to fight for our national identity. But also in the way of, everything goes and everything's okay. And it's okay to take your kid to a drag show and all this other shit. And most Americans aren't with it. And so they've tried to push this narrative so far to that. And by the way, if you don't know, the media completely lies on their polls. All right. They tell you that 80% of the people want something. That means 80% of the people want the other thing.
Yeah.
And we haven't. Our generation as men has been too soft, to be completely real.
Right, yeah.
And I'm not saying...
Complacent is probably,
I'd say
for a lot...
You're comfortable.
You've either been soft or complacent.
Yeah.
Right, one of the two.
I'm guilty of it too.
Yeah.
Okay?
Everybody is.
I grew up in a free America. I went out, I planted my seeds, I harvested my crops, and along the way, I forgot to contribute anything back.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So it's become now a mission of mine to raise awareness that we cannot just live in this country and take it for granted. And so, one of the reasons I switched my show is so I could start cultivating this idea that we need to get back to of an actual free country.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's... I consider... I understand the idea of paying taxes, community contribution for infrastructure, right?
Right.
But that is...
We're getting raped.
That's roads and bridges and things like that. What about what taxes are we paying with our souls in this country?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what are people putting on the line? On how much time are you carving out of your day to make somebody else's day better?
That's right.
You know what I mean? Not much has been, and it's. I guess it is part of that pioneer spirit of America to kind of stay to yourself, let other people do what they want as long as they're minding their business. But I would remind people of the posse, right? So you live in an area in the middle part of the 19th century. Everybody pretty much does what they want. You don't fuck with my shit, I'm not going to fuck with your shit, right? There's no cops, right?
Right.
There's no police. There weren't professional police in America until just before the turn of the century.
Each town had a sheriff and a deputy.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, or there were rangers in Texas and some other spots, but the unwritten rule was if somebody comes into our town and fucks around, every male that can swing a gun gets his gun out and goes and fucks that dude up, right?
Yeah.
That's you can't have one without the other.
That's right.
You can't have liberty without the commitment to it, and we've lost our commitment to it, unfortunately.
Domestically, for sure.
Yeah.
Which is why we see them issuing domestic terror alerts, because they're afraid that what you just said is about to happen.
Yeah.
And they're trying to intimidate every single person who is on the fence of finally getting in the fight, at least verbally, to be quiet.
Yeah, but that was a huge misstep on their part, in my
agree.
opinion, because we spent the last 20 years training a bunch of fucking killers.
Yeah.
That don't give two fucks about the government.
No, and,
You know what I mean?
and are really government averse, if we're being honest.
I would say so, yeah. I mean, there's something about being in the military that makes you anti-authority.
Yeah, you get to see it.
Yeah, you get to see the incompetence.
That's right.
Of it. I mean, it's just going to the DMV and then telling me you want the government running your fucking healthcare.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that. At any rate, we're not going to go off on healthcare.
Nah, bro, I listen. I totally agree, man. You know, the truth of the matter on taxes is this: if we created a flat tax of 15% and everybody fucking paid it, no matter what bracket they fell into, we wouldn't have financial problems in this country. And the other thing that needs to be done, and actually the bigger problem, is the unregulated spending of our money on stupid shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's interesting how we get a tax bill individually every year, but never a receipt. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, there's no other part of human life where you give your money to something and don't get a receipt for it.
Not only that, bro. If you guess wrong, guess what? You go to jail.
Yeah, it's so fucking stupid. And now the IRS wants to get into crypto and shit. But yeah, I would say maybe start showing me where the money's going before we spend any more of it. You know, I think I get into debates with liberal people. When I say liberal, I mean the way that word, or what that word
What it
meant,
actually means.
what it meant in 1985.
Not the crazy shit we see today.
Yeah, not leftist bullshit. So I talk to liberal people about economics all the time, and they're talking about, taxation. I agree that people at the lower level of income should also contribute something, because it's the IKEA effect. You feel a sense of ownership when you contribute. It doesn't matter how much it is.
That's right.
You know what I mean? But the thing where we're just going to tax all the billionaires a little bit more and pay for shit, that math doesn't even add up.
No.
And two, that operates from the premise that there is a number that we need every year, $3 trillion, whatever it happens to be, and that's how much we have to spend, and we have to get there somehow. I don't agree with that. Tell me what all is in there, and I'll tell you
That's
how
right.
fucking far. Maybe it's 1, maybe it's 6, and in any given
it's like
year,
anything
who knows?
else, dude. It's like running your house. You're going to have months where your bills are $1,000 more than they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And you know what you do? You have to come in and explain to your wife or your husband and say, hey, you know what? I spent this extra $1,000 on guns.
Yeah.
So, and then you got to come up with the money.
Yeah.
Listen, the problem, in my opinion, is that it's what we said in the beginning of the show, dude. We have a lot of people who are career politicians who are chained to corporate America for their livelihood and their personal gain, who don't give two fucks about you or me or anybody else.
Yeah, that's right. And it's not. We've been talking about this for a good 10 or 15 years now, and it's primarily come from it's the left that's involved in this shit. That's not true. It is everybody.
It's everybody.
All of these motherfuckers.
It's establishment politicians.
Yeah. So, I mean, and it's not even people that have been around for a long time. I don't know what your relationship is with Crenshaw, but I rail on that dude all the time.
Yeah.
He said, with this debate's going on in Congress right now about whether they should outlaw individual stock trading, right? Which why is that even a fucking question first? But his response to that was, how are we going to, basically, I'm paraphrasing, but how are we going to attract the best and brightest to become members of Congress if they're not allowed to make money off
Bullshit.
It? Like, are you fucking kidding me?
No, motherfucker, here's how it is. You go in for 4 years or 6 years and you serve and you make the system so much better that when you get out, you can make a fucking fortune.
Yeah. And it should be every politician's job to work themselves out of a job.
Yes, dude.
Right?
If they acted in our best interest and built the best machine possible, they would be so excited to get out and make all that money.
Yeah. But I mean, it's on every side. I don't know if you saw the report. 3 hedge funds, right, beat the S&P average last year, and 35 members of Congress.
I saw that.
Now, they're not the smartest people in the world.
I'm sure there's nothing there.
Yeah. Yeah, like that should be a statistical impossibility.
I'm sure if you and I were politicians and we were on the take, I'm sure you wouldn't call me ahead of time and say, hey, Andy, I need you to buy BRC stock.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, look, here's another thing that we found out recently with the Stock Act and then some of the other insider trading stuff. Now, let's say you're a member of Congress and I walk into your office with a briefcase full of $100,000, you're about to go on a committee and vote on something I'm involved in. That is illegal. But if I come in and tell you that you got a stock purchase, right? Yeah. That I'm going to fulfill right now, not illegal because it's stock. It's an unrealized gain instead of cash. Right?
Bro,
that's
fucking illegal.
It's completely legal, technically.
No, but that is against the principles of the foundation of fucking being represented by people without their own. Yeah, I know you get it.
Yeah, it's very,
that pisses me off.
It's very
dude.
frustrating, and all the fucking socialist heroes out there, and I'll pick out 3 just because they're the biggest. 2 of them are the biggest cunts in the world, and one of them is like a total swindler. Ilhan Omar, right, is a good example, and so is Bernie Sanders and AOC. These 3 people. Now, Bernie Sanders, a lot of people think he's just like a lovable curmudgeon that's got some weird ideas. He's a cunt, and I'll tell you why. He talks about raising.
He's a hypocrite, dude.
He's a complete hypocrite. He talks about raising all this money from individual donors, and that's fine. He does that. There's no question about that. He doesn't take PAC money. But what he does is the biggest transfer of money that happens during a political campaign cycle is for media ad buys, right? So the media ad buyer takes 30% off the top. Like you spend, so a 30-second Super Bowl commercial, $7 million, right? You spend $7 million on that Super Bowl commercial, it's $7 million plus 30% because that's what your ad agency makes for putting it on there in the first place. Same thing happens with political campaigns. Bernie Sanders' daughter runs his media buys. So she's taken 30% of the money from the hardworking people that he says he loves so much. He took their money instead of big corporate money. Yeah. So it's way worse with him. Yeah. He's not taking Walmart's money. He's taking your money. And he's giving 30% to his daughter. Yeah. He's not spending it trying to make the country better and that shit.
Dude.
And the same thing happened with Ilhan Omar. You remember her paying her fucking boyfriend or whatever?
Yeah. Well, husband?
Yeah, brother, husband. Yeah.
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 Brusman?
Yeah. Same thing with AOC. She gave like $180,000 or some shit to her husband to do consulting work. Like, no, you're stealing money from people.
Bro, not only that, they're standing on people. This is what irritates me. Like, they're standing on organizations of people such as, I just use AOC as an example, the black community of New York. Yeah. Okay, she stands on the shoulders of the black community in New York, gets into Congress, and go ask them what they think of AOC now. Yeah. Right?
Well, you could walk right over there to this Amazon headquarters. There would be one of those in her district now with a 10-year average revenue of $30 billion. Yeah. Right? She robbed $30 billion out of her community.
Bro, I've talked to these people like face to face. Like I know these people. Like I'm not a guy who only talks to people who has the same views as me.
Right now.
Right? I know you're not as well. No. And that's what we need. We need constructive conversations to be happening. I talk to those guys, and they're one of their biggest fucking gripes is that they've let politicians stand on their shoulders, go in and fuck them. Yeah. And like, dude, that shit has to stop.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are waking up to it, though.
Absolutely, bro.
I mean, I'm not a huge Trump guy because I think
he's got his faults too.
My problem with him is that he had a good bit of the answers, but he couldn't fucking be mature enough to get the job done.
Yeah.
Talk too much shit.
There's definitely.
It's not a policy thing between me and him. It's the attitude.
I get it.
Right. And then I don't mean that you should be like a beltweight professional. I enjoyed a lot of the shit
candor.
talking.
Yeah.
But some of it is like, dude, what the fuck are you doing?
No, I get it. Like, dude, same frustration I had. So, like, there was a number of times, especially during the pandemic, where I'm like, hey, bro, just fucking say this.
Yeah.
And we all know that that's what you think.
Yeah.
And you're up there pandering. And like a lot of people are like, well, you know, he's too aggressive. Actually, I thought he needed to be more aggressive.
I agree. Yeah, but not on Twitter.
No, not on Twitter.
Yeah.
This shit got out of it. Dude, look, when you start, it's one thing to joke. It's another thing to truly divide. And when you start crossing that, you have to have the wherewithal at that level of office to know the difference.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's something that he lacks.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably just an ego thing.
It is,
right?
and where it comes from is this, right? Like here's this man, and I totally understand his point of view. Here's this man who gave up a billionaire life, which I'm going to tell you is pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who said, I'm going to try to fix this shit. He got in office. He did all these amazing things policy wise. We were literally in the best position this country has ever been in economically, and the media destroyed him for it. So when you take someone who's doing all these good things and they know they're doing all these good things, you force them into a corner to brag about themselves.
Yeah.
And so like for him to get recognition about the good things he did at all, he had to brag.
Yeah.
And that's not palatable for most of America. Most of America doesn't like people who brag.
Yeah. I mean, the smart play there is to have other people brag on your
For
behalf,
sure.
right?
For sure. And that was a big a strategic error on his part that I think comes from him surrounding himself with people who have not built anything from the ground up.
Right. Yeah,
I
mean,
I like his people.
Yeah,
They're cool
a lot of
people.
them. Well,
I'm friends with a lot of them.
Kushner's a good dude.
Yeah,
I mean, he's really.
I don't know
good.
him.
He's the guy. He negotiated like 5 peace deals between Israel and Middle Eastern countries. So that's
amazing.
That's pretty much all you got to put on your fucking resume at that point.
Yeah,
right?
it's thousands of years old.
Yeah.
But you know, he lacks true strategy from his team.
I think you need somebody if you're in that. Like Caesar used to have a guy that would sit behind him. When
Just a man.
You're just a man, in his ear over and over. And I think that's probably important. But that's where the conversations come into play, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't literally have somebody doing that these days because we're not. That would be weird as shit.
It would
you
be,
know what I mean?
but it's necessary.
It would be good to have diversity of thought in your own cabinet.
Yeah,
where if a guy,
you have to have it, dude.
Like you can openly disagree inside of your own ideological hole.
Yeah,
and that be okay.
Yes,
right. That's got to be okay,
bro. It has to be that way, even if it's hypothetical. Because, dude, when you have a lot of people are so sensitive about leadership, they think that anything that disagrees is dissension. It's not. Challenging leadership is important because what it does is it creates the opportunity to see the contingencies that might happen and allow us to make strategy. Okay, you brought up this point. I don't think that's going to happen, but here's what we'll do just in case it does.
Yeah.
And that when you don't have diversity of thought or opinion inside your ecosystem, you're not going to win long term.
No. I mean, we call it red selling, right? In the intelligence community, you give me a problem, and my team tries
how they
to
would kill you.
Yeah, here's how everything could go wrong, and here's how if we were the bad guys, how we would make it go wrong. You know what I mean? That's a really important part of your process. And if you're not doing that in business, if you're not asking what if this, then you're fucked. The first time something comes up. Yeah, I mean, maybe you can get out of it, maybe you can't, but chances are you won't.
90% of the time, I'm meeting with my personal people here that report to me. We are talking about 98% of shit that never happens.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, what's that old saying? Planning is, or a plan is useless, but planning is important. Something like that. It's from a general. Though. It was planning is indispensable. So a plan is useless, but planning is indispensable.
Yeah.
It's it wasn't Westmoreland. Who was it? Some general from World War II. But anyways, yeah, that's. That whole process of ideation, storyboarding, writing things out on whiteboards. Like you could do all of this stuff without whiteboards.
Yeah.
You could do it without fucking PowerPoints. God, I wish I'd never seen one in my life.
Me too, bro.
To be honest, but It's not about the product. It's about the process of going through all this shit.
For sure.
That's what we're lacking in our political discourse.
I don't know Trump,
discourse.
so I've never met him. I don't know how open he is to hearing things, but he needs a motherfucker in his office to say, "Hey, bro, reel it back in 10%."
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And maybe it's just being surrounded by people he doesn't think he could trust.
Yeah.
Like
he couldn't.
Part of it was bringing in Washington insiders.
That's
because
right.
you can't operate
Establishment
without that,
fucks.
And the people were coming after him too. And I'll say this: it's the same thing that's going on with Rogan right now. The harder that the establishment is fighting against you, the more right you are. Probably,
That's right.
Right.
100%.
There's generally 100% return on that. Like
Yeah.
if they're coming after you hard, that means you're onto something.
Bro, I'm of the opinion, this is like people laugh when I say this or they think I'm being extreme. I'm of the opinion that at least Fox News is guilty of it too sometimes. But the shit you see from the liberal media sources, you could just listen to what they say and pretty much bet that the opposite is the actual truth.
Yeah. And the really sad part about that is if we're in a room full of people who are brash, leftist or conservative, and you tell me an idea, like you bring up some kind of situation, I can tell you what they think before they even open their mouths, and it should not be like that.
Yeah.
It can't be.
No.
You know what I mean? It just can't be, because otherwise nothing gets done.
No, bro. So the way our country's designed, like this idea that how they're doing Congress and the Senate now, right? Where it's everybody's got to vote for this or everybody's got to vote for that.
It's never been like that.
It's never supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be you represent the people that elected you from your community and you voice their concerns about the issues that are on the table. And we have a scenario now where these motherfuckers are in a power struggle for their own benefit and gain, not ours, of teaming up together and working together no matter what. And that is not how this is supposed to be. So that's one of the reasons in the recent scenario with the Build Back Better bullshit, Mansion and Cinema.
Build crack
Yeah,
better,
no
I
shit,
guess.
bro. How about that? I'll fucking get on that in a second. But Mansion and Cinema actually operated how the government is supposed to operate.
Yep.
They stood up and they said, our people don't want this.
Yeah.
And we're not going to vote for it.
Right.
And that's what America's about.
That's your job.
That's it.
We didn't even
There should never been total compliance or agreement amongst the parties.
No, if you're in a room and everybody agrees, then usually there's a problem.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there should be some dissent. Even the first several presidential elections, it wasn't a president and vice president running together. It was people of different parties that ran all at the same time, and the top two people were the president and vice president.
No shit.
On purpose.
I didn't know that.
Right? Yeah. It wasn't. There were no. You didn't run as a tandem.
I was
back
actually
then.
thinking. I was actually thinking this thought the other day. I didn't know that. And I was thinking this like I'm always like just fucking thinking about shit.
Right.
Probably the same way you are. And I was like, man, you know what would fix this is if we had to fucking elect a leader from the left and the right, and they had to work together.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like
It's interesting. I didn't know that, bro.
Tulsi Gabbard and fucking
love her.
Ron DeSantis maybe as a
Yeah.
presidential ticket would be really interesting.
Yeah.
Because she.
But
I mean,
also, what companies? I don't know DeSantis. What companies is he beholden to?
that's a good question. I don't know.
I don't either. I love what he has to say.
Yeah.
I love his history. But like, dude, here's where I'm at with this. I'm not fucking voting for anybody that takes money from motherfuckers anymore.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a good fucking place to start at least, right? You may not ever hear of anybody that doesn't take money from
I think
somebody
we're going to
else.
see a change, dude.
Maybe, yeah. We'll
Dude,
see.
I know a lot of people who I've met over the last few years who are now like taking steps to either run for school board or Congress or all these things, who have either been victimized by this leftist culture, or they realize
like Ian Smith in New
Smith's my
Jersey.
boy.
Yeah,
bro. Listen, I know that dude like very well. He's become like a brother to me.
yeah, he's a good guy.
And dude, when he first stood up, I wrote him a message. Just how we met. I wrote him a message. I said, "Hey, dude, I love what you're doing. Thank you for doing it. I hope you realize that what you're doing is historic."
Yeah.
And him and I have stayed in contact. We've become really good friends. And but he's running for Congress now, and he is a regular guy who has had a real human life. He's spent some time in jail.
Yep.
He's had real hardships. But here's the thing: he is in it to represent the regular human American.
Right.
And we have to have people who are getting into this for the right reasons. And I hope that people are smart enough in this next election cycle to not just vote the opposite of what's happening now.
Right, yeah.
But like, because a lot of people are like, I vote Republican down the road. That's not going to fix it.
Yeah.
We have to find and vet people who are real people, who are not looking to make a career, who are in it for the good of the people to elect. And that's going to take some digging.
It's going to take quite a bit of digging and a lot of it's going to take a lot of people that may disagree working together.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Because we can disagree on how to handle healthcare or how to handle stimulating the economy during times of inflation or pulling back rates during times of inflation and stuff like that. We can argue over the strategy, but we can't argue over the goal. Right?
That's it.
Because
Team first, bro.
Yeah, you can't fucking be playing tug of war and somebody else is playing frisbee.
It's mission first. It's team first, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be America first. And I know Trump uses that slogan, but it's got to be that way.
Yeah, why wouldn't it be? Like, we're Americans. That doesn't make any sense to me. America first doesn't mean America only, by the way.
No. And by the way, if we're not the best we could be, we can't even fucking help other people. It's just like in real life, dude. If you're fucking fat, lazy, broke, you might be able to go down and donate some time at the homeless shelter a couple times a year, right? That's noble. But if you take care of yourself and you become this wealthy motherfucker, maybe you can open up 50 homeless shelters.
Yeah.
You see, the more you take care of yourself, the more we could, and that goes for the country. If we get a healthy country with a healthy economy, American-made goods, real people representing us, our country will be more prosperous. Then we can help these other countries in a different way than what we've been doing. We are not the world police, bro.
No.
Like, I know you and I spoke about this before, but these fucking wars and this sending our young men over to die for shit that doesn't fucking matter other than people's pocketbooks, that shit's got to stop.
It's got to stop, yeah. I mean, our number one export to the world used to be hope and opportunity. And our number one export now is us interfering with other people's
That's right.
shit. Like,
and they don't see, people in America have a wrong interpretation of how other people see us. Like, we see us as this noble people, like, oh, we're going over there to install freedom. That narrative is fucking lost now, dude. Like, we all kind of caught on to what's going on.
You can't give someone freedom.
No.
That is not how that works.
They got to take it themselves.
Yeah. We found that out in Iraq. And to a lesser degree, Afghanistan, those people fight pretty hard, but in Iraq, they just have no interest in being self-reliant.
Right.
That's, in my opinion, I spent some time, plenty of time there. I just don't think they care about that. They got so.
So how do you get people that don't care about that in the core of their being to adopt that?
You don't.
Okay, exactly.
Like it's like a drug addict, in my opinion. So things have to get as bad as they can. They have to get so bad that the person won't tolerate that condition anymore before they'll ever get better.
It's worse than that, bro. They have to get to a point where they'll dedicate their entire lives to making sure that shit never happens again.
Yeah, I mean that's what the American Revolution was.
Yeah.
It was more than just. Yeah, and you can tell from the Federalist Papers, the Declaration itself, the Constitution, Bill of Rights in 97 there, but you can tell from all those documents post-war that it wasn't just about getting rid of the British. It was about building something that would last.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that is the telltale sign of somebody that's really learned their lesson.
Yeah. Is
that they don't want this shit to ever happen again. When you talk to people like Bedros and other people that have lived under communism and have come here, they're like, fuck that. Like, it's not all rainbows and unicorns and everybody's sitting in a circle holding hands and singing Kumbaya. It's like the fucking top half of 1%, if even that many people at the very top getting everything and everybody else gets fucked.
Yeah, and if you complain about it, they kill you.
Yeah.
That's what people don't get, which we were about. Now everybody's pivoting, but, with this pandemic shit, but these motherfuckers were legit. They would have gone that far.
Oh, yeah.
They would have gone that far. And this is why the message I've been on lately is we have to hold them accountable. The people who perpetuated this fucking bullshit the last 2 years, they got to end up at the end of a rope, bro.
This pivot that's happening right now, where it's I called this 6 months ago, by the way, that sometime right as the election season, and it starts in March, right? The primaries for a lot of these state elections happen in March. Early voting in some places starts next week. Yeah. In some of these places.
Yeah, as soon as political.
As soon as the campaign stuff gets in order and people start moving on it, there will be a massive pivot. It won't be we were wrong, you were right. But that was the case. Like, say what you want about left versus right in the country right now. The right on this issue were right the entire time. They were 100%. Correct the whole time. Right? The science didn't change. It was the same the whole time. And the left was completely wrong about everything. right? But that will not be the story. The story will be that you're welcome for us lifting the mandates or the mask mandate or
we're
whatever.
the heroes.
Yeah, so it's like it's the federal government is a man in an abusive relationship with a woman. He's been beating the shit out of her, and he says, "Hey, aren't you grateful that I'm not beating the shit out of you anymore?"
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Fuck you, buddy.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's got to be some consequences.
Listen, dude, this is crimes against humanity, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You might disagree. Other people listening might disagree. They might think it's, blowing it out of proportion. I don't. I think this is a master conspiracy that's been perpetrated by the most wealthy and privileged and powerful people on the planet to gain more control and power. And in doing so, they manufactured a crisis that basically tried to eliminate the middle class from our country, close down hundreds of thousands of businesses.
So about 600,000 will never reopen.
Yeah, ruined millions of fucking lives, killed who knows how many people with the denial and censorship of effective therapeutics that they knew existed in April of 2020, according to DOD paperwork that was released from the Pentagon. These motherfuckers knew the entire time what they've been doing, and they tried to do it. And eventually, now they're in a scenario where they realize, holy fuck, we can't do this. And now they're going to pretend like they're doing us a favor, as you said, by not beating us anymore, when in reality, we need to all have accountability, because here's what people have to understand. They will do it again.
Oh, yeah.
And
At
they
the
will
first
do it,
opportunity, yeah.
They will do it again. This is why they're not bringing the masks off the kids. They want to leave the masks on the kids as long as possible, so they become more and more and more conditioned to it. That way, whenever they try this again, they have a whole new breed of people who are already conditioned to this type of treatment and will be willing to accept it.
Yeah, our kid the other day, talking about masks, we're walking through an outdoor mall, right?
Yeah.
And a place had a mask thing on it. We're like, we're not going in there. He goes, well, it's just a mask. I'm like, don't ever say it's just.
Yeah.
When somebody else is telling you to do something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You should always, and it's true, this Zennial generation has now been rapidly conditioned to accept overreach into their lives.
Yeah.
Like when we were kids, even if you had a good relationship with your parents and they told you to do something, you're like, fuck you. Like at least under your breath you said it. You know what I mean? And now it's just like, oh, okay, we went from fuck you, don't do what they tell you, to fuck you, do what they tell you in one generation. How did that fucking happen?
I don't know. Dude, even the guys that wrote that song are fucking doing it.
Well, who knows what Della Roca's up to?
Well, not him, but
yeah,
the rest of the
Tom
band.
Tom Morello's a piece of shit.
Yeah, they all sold out.
Yeah.
None of the shit that all the lyrics of that whole entire band are now applicable to the right wing.
Well, it's like Beto O'Rourke.
Yeah.
His name is Robert, by the way.
Beto.
Beto, yeah.
Oh, going to take your AR-15s.
Well, now he says he's not.
Yesterday, he literally said, bro, no, I don't want to take anything. My priority is protecting the Second Amendment.
Yeah. Like we didn't just hear you
Bro, there's
a year and a
clips
half
of
ago.
this.
It was a year and a half ago.
But there's receipts of this. So, dude, we're going to find out how stupid motherfuckers really are.
Oh, yeah. It's this is going to be one of my, not the whole 2022 cycle, but the Texas governor race is going to be one of my favorite things to happen in a while, because just as a thought experiment to see how fucking stupid people are and see how the media handles this whole thing. I mean, MSNBC and CNN are going to cover it up, and Fox will amplify what they like, and except for I like Tucker Carlson.
I do too. I think he's the only guy on TV who tells any kind of.
I agree.
Anything close to the truth.
Anywhere in legacy media, I think he's the only legit person in my opinion. But other than that, even they are all over the fucking place. So we'll see. It's going to be really entertaining.
Yeah.
To see what happens. And to be honest, like I have that attitude that we'll see what happens. I'm not too affected by it, because if worse comes to worse, I'm completely prepared for that scenario. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not only completely prepared, but that's always been a little bit of like an unspoken wet dream for a lot of us, is to be able to fight from our home, like go sleep in my ghost bed at night, and then come back to work the next day and fuck people up. But I do worry about the younger generation though, because they have, like we said earlier, just no tolerance for any kind of discomfort whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be us again fighting this fight. Yeah. It's not going to be them. Like the fucking teenagers now, they're not fighting this fight.
I think I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think that parents are finally realizing that they have to instill these qualities in their kids, which means there's a generation coming, but they're very young, of people who will have what these people that we're speaking of lack. And I think there's going to be a gap that we need to bridge there.
Right. I mean, it's always like that to some degree, right? So,
but dude, I think even the crazy like leftists are starting to see it, dude.
oh
Like,
yeah,
I have
well, liberal people are abandoning leftist bullshit.
yeah, for sure,
yeah.
I have somebody in my family who is very liberal, who messaged me recently and basically like kind of told me like, man, you've been right the whole time. And this is somebody who is like very much so not been a fan of Andy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's happening more and more, though.
Yeah. And that was an eye opener for me because she was one of these people who was somebody that you can't even talk to.
Right.
Right. And that was eye opening. So now I'm starting to realize there's way more people who are seeing it. And there's a lot of people who are embarrassed that they believe the other narrative, who we may not be hearing from right now, but they understand that there's a big problem.
Well, there was a good period there where we had no leadership in the public, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the people were busy with their own lives, or maybe they didn't see what was happening, or they felt like this institution's so strong, nobody could ever do anything to that. But that's not how any of that works, right? So, but now you have, people like the Weinstein brothers, Barry Weiss, Peter Boghossian, fucking Jordan Peterson, all these people that hold very classically liberal ideologies that are now like, it isn't about what Tip O'Neill thought liberalism was in 1987.
No.
It's about an assault on liberty. Right?
100%.
And liberty and individual determinism are the ultimate inoculation to tyrannical bullshit. Right? That's the only thing that protects you.
Right.
And empowering that right now, regardless if everybody's on the same page, is the most important thing in my opinion.
Well, that's hence 75 hard.
Right.
And live hard. Okay. I'm trying to teach people to become more successful at operating their own selves.
Have you thought about adding, it's a 10-page a day thing. Have you thought about adding a book club part to that, where it's an actual, not a rigid curated list, but like, here are some books you should probably check out.
I've got some really cool stuff coming along.
Cool.
Yeah.
I just outed you, I guess. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's a good idea.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
The thing about that is getting people to read stuff and then have a conversation about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is like having a third person in the room almost.
Yeah.
Like it's
catalyst for a discussion.
Yeah. And you're going to get a better education doing that than you are going, spending $150,000 to let some university tell you that dudes can fucking have babies.
Yeah. Which
you know
they can't.
No, they can't.
And men are men and women are women. And the importance of saying that is much deeper than what I think most people realize. The idea of convincing you that a man is a woman and a woman is a man is designed for you to be malleable to their narrative.
Yeah. It's
Okay?
postmodernism. That's what it is. It's Foucault. It's like, if there's no standard, then anything can be true.
Correct.
And then they'll just believe what we tell them.
That's right.
That's essentially what it is in Marxism.
Correct.
So
So when these people who are conservative or moderate and you're thinking like, holy shit, this is all fucked up, but you're still saying that men can have babies, you're contributing to it.
Yeah.
And like, that's not anti-trans, bro.
No.
I've got people in my family who are trans people.
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
I respect them. They do not deserve to be harassed or have difficulty in society in any way, shape, or form. They don't deserve to be bullied. They deserve to have all the rights that every other single American has.
You're right. Your rights aren't predicated on who you are.
That's correct.
That's not how that fucking works. That's not what a right is.
Yeah, and we have to understand that just because you're unwilling to say things that are untrue, that doesn't make you some sort of bigot.
No, that's just a reasonable thing to do.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
And the culture and society has vilified truth to the point where you're a bigot if you even speak facts.
Well, truth is a privilege, right? That's the idea.
Privilege of a free country.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is, but
Yeah.
they say that your version of truth is your privilege. That's the argument. Like, no, reality is reality, bitch. And the next time somebody tries,
Does the dude have a fucking schlong?
yeah, has he got a dick or not? That's the funny thing. So the next time somebody uses the phrase non-binary to you in a serious way, ask them how even non-binary is technically binary. You're either binary or non-binary, right? So technically, you're still binary between one of those two. That's what it means.
Yeah, you're this or that.
And then watch their face.
I know, dude.
It'll it'll pause for like 30 seconds and it'll melt completely.
No,
off
and
of
then
the
it'll
body.
just go right back to repeating the shit it was saying before.
Yeah.
It's like a fucking broken robot.
Yeah, it's there's no depth to that at all.
That's just repeating talking points that they're programmed to say.
Yeah. Well, we could get into this all day, but
Yeah.
let's get out of here. This is the point in the show where we get to the Drinkin' Bro of the Week. It's somebody that inspired you on the come up, somebody that you looked up to, somebody that helped you in business or whatever.
Does it have to be? Can it be anybody?
Anybody, yeah.
Oh, dude, my dad for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, my dad was a guy who didn't grow up with his real dad. His real dad was killed in World War II, right at the end of World War II, after D-Day. Was raised by another man. Was taught all kinds of wonderful things, all the things that we should be taught by that man. Which really, honestly, in my opinion, reflects American culture.
Yeah.
That's how it should be.
Well, that's what I like about the native ideology. Every elder man
Yeah.
in the tribe was called grandfather, and every elder one was called grandmother.
Yeah.
Right. That was
and we raise them as a community.
Yeah.
And so that I don't want to take anything away from. To me, family is not blood.
right. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just not.
Yeah. Especially not these days.
No, it's not. I don't consider blood. I'm sorry. It's not how I see the world.
Right.
And you know, my dad grew up learning skills. He started from nothing. He opened up a business when he was 18 years old. He started selling defective electrical supplies that he repaired and then sold. And he turned that into a pretty successful company. Ended up, moving on to other things. And, along the way, even though my dad he's never like at this scale, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But I was able to learn so many things and be encouraged by him. It's a big reason why I went so hard in the entrepreneur space because, although my dad never invested in me and I never had any money, like he didn't pay for my shit,
Right.
didn't put me in business, I did have a massive advantage being in the household of an entrepreneur.
Right. Seeing how it's
That's
done.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's why I am so passionate about giving that knowledge back
Right.
wherever I go. And so, my dad's 76 now, and he's still, you'll probably meet him. He's here, works here, and we call him the human rain delay because when he shows up, work stops. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we got one of those too. Evan Haber's dad, Ed. I don't know if you watched them at the New York Stock Exchange yesterday, but his dad is the old dude next to him. He's been a trucker. He's been a log cutter.
So
He's
awesome,
done every
dude.
job that you can imagine.
And he got to see his son.
Yeah.
Company go
Yep.
public.
Yep. He was
That's
there. He was there to help him ring the
That's
bell. Yeah.
fucking awesome. dude.
Yeah. So that's something that you can't really. I mean, if you're out there and you're a fucking man in your 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, and you're looking around at the world and you don't like what you see, you may not be able to fix it today, but you can fix tomorrow
For sure.
pretty easily, actually.
For sure.
Just with a little bit of time and effort.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse not to do that shit.
No, and dude, if we're gonna improve this country, we have to all start looking out for each other, man. Like, there's this mentality right now where like only look out for my own shit, motherfucker. That's not what makes this country great. What makes this country great is contributing where you can contribute, solving the problems that you can solve in front of your face, and working together, mission first, to make this a better place for everybody,
Yeah.
and not just for us right now, but for the next generation and their generation. And I think that's something people are waking up to. It's really cool to see, but they need to wake up a lot fucking faster.
Yeah, faster and more for
Yeah.
sure. Well, thanks for doing the show today.
Oh, bro, this has been great.
Let you get out of here. Gonna have Derek White on next. Well, that should be a much different conversation.
Yeah,
Really.
I'm sure it'll be amazing. Derek inspires the shit out of me.
He
dude.
does, yeah. He's that
Also
kind
makes
of
me
guy.
laugh.
He's a retarded person, yes. Yeah. All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next time.